I can't even thank you enough for doing this.
Oh, I was excited when Mary Ann told me.
It's so funny because I didn't know you, but I see you. I knew you through other people. My mom, my mother, Mary Ann, my cousin Angie. I just found out that your son-in-law is my son's master in karate. It's like the world gets smaller and smaller, doesn't it? It does. But I asked you because I had been asked to go to a church, Mount Carmel thing, and you were testifying, and you wanted to tell your story. And so I do know that you're 7 years sober now, but I don't know, and we don't have to go into your whole story, but when did you start drinking and what happened? And
there was booze in the house. My father, everybody loved vermouth in my house.
Okay.
Growing up, I tasted vermouth.
Really?
Oh yeah,
me no likey.
My mother always, would taste the taste.
Yeah.
But then, like in grammar school, I would come home from school and have a little.
Okay.
There was a time I would come home from Tinker school and have a beer.
No kidding. Okay.
And I remember the time being on the toilet bowl, and I was like all stupid. And my mother looked at me and says, "Are you drunk?"
And how old were you?
It could have been like 6th grade.
No kidding.
5th grade.
Okay. All right.
And I was really feeling good.
Yeah.
But then eventually I just kept doing it.
Yeah.
But then the biggest thing is when I got married and Patsy made the wine. Going to visit, he came as a tourist. He stayed at his brother's house on Arian Street.
Okay.
And my sister-in-law's mother would say, Vave, bon appetit. Drink, it's good for you. And that got in my
You were like,
head.
all right, it's good for
And
me.
I believed it. I said, it's grape juice, fermented grape juice, so it's going to be good for me.
Yeah, of course, it's grapes.
But then I couldn't control it. I wasn't falling down a lot because I wasn't really overdoing it.
Okay.
But as the years went by, it was like more and more. For a matter of fact, I was a brownie leader with Louise. Well, a brownie helper, brownie assistant, whatever you want to call it. And nobody knew I brought wine on a field trip.
No kidding. Okay.
So I would just drink continuously.
How old were you at this time around?
I was 20 when I got married.
Okay.
And that's when it really started.
Okay.
Little by little.
Little by little.
Until it really progressed.
Yeah.
And then when I lived with my mothers and we were married, I was siphoning it out of the barrel. Patsy and his brother were making the real wine from the barrel.
No kidding.
Until he found no more in that bottle. In the barrel.
In the barrel.
And then he caught and realized that where's all the wine going? Because I was buying it for the liquor store too. So it eventually got worse. See, I quit drinking for 15 years when the kids were little.
All right. Okay.
My liver got bad, really bad.
All right.
And I was told again that if I continue, I'm going to be a goner. And he said he wasn't going to make any wine. And I didn't go to any I went to a couple of AA meetings. I had a sponsor. But then I didn't go anymore, and I did it all on my own for 15 whole years.
All right.
And I did pretty good. Then just before my younger daughter got married, he made wine again. And I said, please, a little taste, a little shot glass. What harm can that do? Wow.
It woke it all up again.
Right away.
Really?
It didn't take any time. It was like I was looking for more that night. It was really, it's bad.
Yeah.
The second time is bad. But there are days that I'm really craving.
Yeah.
I can't deny that.
Yeah.
Every now and then I do want to drink.
Yeah.
And Mary Ann asked me a few months ago, is there liquor in the house? I said, yeah, but I don't touch it. Oh, she called my daughter.
I love Mary.
And she told...
Mary Ooch.
Yeah, she told my daughter to get every single bottle out.
Because it'll only just be a little to take the edge off.
And that's all it's going to take.
Yeah, yeah.
One little sip.
Yeah. I do know that right before you did stop, you were falling down a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, you were hurting. You were getting hurt. Were you blacking out, or you were just stumbling?
Oh, I was falling down, blacked out. I would just plunk out on the couch too, fall off the couch.
Okay.
I would stagger through the house.
Okay.
I would go for a walk drunk.
No kidding.
And I didn't realize one day I was staggering all on Highland Avenue. And what little I knew, my neighbor was, 20 feet, 30 feet in back of me. She finally caught up with me, grabbed my arm, and she says, "Did you drink?" I said, "Yeah, I had a little wine." And she offered to walk me home. And then there was another incident. Your mother was in church too. He was a Eucharistic minister. His name was Joe, but he was in mass in back of me. And I was like fidgety, and I was like drunk the night before. And I fell that night, and you could see the big scar. It's where I got this little scar. I broke a tooth. I had to have him fix it. My watch broke. I felt good. And Joe sat in back of me. When I came back for communion, I don't know, I must have staggered or something. And on the way out, he says to me, "Were you drinking when you fell?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I left abruptly because I didn't want to say any more. But then that bothered me, and then finally I said to him, "Joe, the reason I fell is because I am an alcoholic." And he was not surprised.
No, they really are. They really are. I remember the first time I said it out loud. People are like, "Well, it's about time," and you're like, "Wait, what? Everybody knows?"
And my husband in the beginning was so ashamed that I was telling people that I am a recovering alcoholic. It's like, what do you got to tell your business for?
But it's an Italian thing.
Yeah, no,
it is.
It is, because it's like, what do you got to let them know? It's a scumbare. It's a scumbare. It's an embarrassment. I said,
it's not.
I want to help someday someone if I could tell them my story. So I'm not ashamed of it. I think I came out of the closet really good.
Good for you.
I feel better talking about it.
Getting it off your chest. When you bury it and you stuff it down, that's a cause of a lot of anxieties. It is. It really is. You said that you were thinking about suicide.
I did. I kept thinking and thinking, but I never did anything about it. But then I still have a habit when I get like down, listening to everybody's problems, I get down.
You absorb it. You feel it.
Yeah,
so
I feel everybody's pain.
Yeah.
And I don't want to accept their pain, and yet I want God to take me because I don't want to deal with it. I'm still dealing with that.
Yeah. Do you see somebody for that, honey?
No.
Okay. I was just wondering.
No.
I didn't feel that you saw anybody for that.
I keep saying that I would, but then I'll call Mary Ann. Or I'll talk
Well,
to...
I'm glad that you're talking to somebody about it.
And I'm talking to you now.
And you're talking to me now.
Yeah.
You see that? I love that. I love that. You know, I had always felt other people's feelings. I feel people's things very, very deeply. I feel my own very deeply. Sometimes I go overboard sometimes with things, but I think it's just because of the feelings, and I never wanted to feel those negative feelings. Who the heck wants to feel that, you know? And I know that that's why I kept drinking and putting things into my system to make it stop, to numb it, you know? And I know that I used to say the same thing. I just want to die. I just want to die. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And lo and behold, I don't know. It's, you know, one day at a time, but more days that I have sober, the better I feel. And I haven't had that feeling of, geez, I just want to die, in a really long time. Because I surround myself with some really strong women. Marianne, I love you, Mare.
Yeah.
she's a trip. But I do, and when I can't get to an AA meeting, or I, talk to my kids, which I couldn't do before either, and tell them what's going on now. Now I let them know everything that's going on. My mom, talked to somebody to reach out. I have a really great network, but I was seeing somebody for a while. It helps. Sometimes when they're not a close friend and they're not a family member, they have a different perspective on it. And sometimes you could say something that you wouldn't normally say. And his name was Al. I went to see him for a few years, and I learned a little bit more about myself. And I didn't tell anybody that for a long time, that I was seeing, a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And I'm like, why not? Any help that you can get for yourself and make yourself feel better, I think is a wonderful thing. I really do. Going to church.
Oh, absolutely.
Meditating.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, just
Christian
getting
music.
just getting something, something else inside of you more peaceful. And of course, we still have bad days. It's life, for goodness sakes. Life on life's terms.
It's true. It's true.
But we got to deal with it. But it's not always easy. But I wanted to touch quickly. I know that you were going through a really hard time last year during the pandemic. I understand that your husband was sick first. Is that true? And then you ended up getting sick.
Actually,
Did you both have the virus?
Yeah, I think we were sick at the same time.
At the same time.
He was sleeping so much.
Okay.
And he was coughing so much, and yet I didn't feel good. My bones, I had a fever. I just felt horrible. I called a doctor, and over the phone he said, go get tested. And I got tested first. I came back positive.
Okay.
And then, I don't know, I didn't seem to be getting better, taking care of myself at home. And Teresa said, just go get checked into the hospital. Okay. So I was in the hospital first on the 6th floor. And then Patsy, he was just deteriorating. His fever got higher. He was all alone because I was at the hospital, and Teresa said, go to the emergency room. And my daughter did bring him. And we were on the 6th floor, the same room together.
I remember Marianne was keeping me posted, and the only reason I'm saying this with you is because it was in the you guys were in the paper.
Yeah.
You were in the paper.
Yeah.
They gave your husband last rites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with that, they called us in. The doctor called us in. We had a meeting in the conference room, and the doctors came in and said, look, he's not going to get better. He's either going to have to stay on a ventilator for the rest of his life, and that's no life, or we just take him off the ventilator and let him go naturally. I got so upset. I said, look, to the doctor, I will not, I'm a woman of great faith. That night I went home. I didn't even sleep. I was up half the night crying and praying. When I got up in the morning, the pillowcase was wet. And I said, Lord, you got this. And I trusted God. I really, and I still today trust him. And 3 days later, it was like the doctor said he's tracking his eyes, back and forth. And he started to talk. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know what happened. He was like, they put him in, they paralyzed him for, 39 days? But that was my miracle.
And you didn't have to drink over that, did you?
I didn't. No, I stayed strong.
Good girl.
What keeps me going is my Christian music, my Bible,
All right. Good.
and I grow.
That's awesome. Keep on going. Yeah.
And this is what I'm trying to do.
I love you.
I love you too, Laura.
This was so great. I
always-
love
I
this.
loved you
Oh
the day I met you at Mount
God.
Carmel.
Oh, at Mount Carmel. We love Mount Carmel.
yeah.
You keep doing what you're doing. So it's working. Okay?
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, you better.